Hi,
All right.
am I the only one today or do you have more?
There's more people coming.
Okay.
You're just the first.
I'm just very timely, aren't I?
You are. I never
Mm.
know how many people are going to show up, but usually there's about between 6 and 8 of us.
Uh-huh.
So I see some other
Cool.
people registered. Let me just look at my little list here.
Cool.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Um, Busy. My daughter turned 25 this weekend, so we did a lot of celebrating of her.
What kind of fun stuff did you do?
We took her out to a really nice meal twice, brunch and dinner. Rhonda actually joined us for brunch and helped her decorate for a party that she threw in her apartment as a housewarming slash birthday. So yeah, it was
Nice.
fun. Yep. So we enjoyed
I
it.
love that.
I can't believe I have a
Mm,
25-year-old.
right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Pretty, yeah.
It's funny because even though they're 25 and they're adults and all that stuff, it's still like I still worry about my kids,
I
right?
know.
Like, what does it deal with that?
Right. Yeah, they're always kids to us.
Yeah, yeah. And I hadn't expected that, right? Like somehow I thought that at some point it would be easy or I don't know.
Right. Oh no, I get it.
Hi, Florence. Nice to see you here. I see you're on mute. Are you coming on camera? Ah, hello.
Hi, I'm trying to get my technology to work, so you may
Ah,
see me leave and rejoin because I'm trying to connect through my laptop. Okay, so
okay. Yeah,
I'll
no
be back.
problem. Okay, no. We'll give it another minute or so and then
That's good.
we'll get started. Had the most interesting thing happen this week. It was yeah, I might share it. I might share it on this call. I'm not 100% sure. It was about I went shopping for some clothes and I had a very strange experience with the person in a store. She was not interested in helping me, like
Oh,
not at all.
really?
It was like at first I was confused and then I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and I was, I processed it, right? Coach processes things. Hi, Florence. I see that you're here again. I see you're on mute again. Hopefully your tech is going to work and we're going to dive in pretty soon. And so I wrote about it on social and I didn't write about it so that people would go, oh, poor you. Like, I've been alive for all these years. It's kind of part of the way life is, right?
Uh-huh.
And I thought I really wanted people to realize that this was day to day. This is what people of color deal with in
Yeah.
nice, polite society.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting, really interesting.
I
So,
bet.
yeah. Hi, Rahul. Hi, Rahul. Nice to see you here. Oh, he's gone again. He'll be back again. Okay, let's dive in. Florence, I haven't met you before. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to be here. I happened upon your podcast,
Yeah.
and that's what led me to you.
Are you a Trini?
I am a Trini.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good that you recognize the accent. Not many
Yeah.
people get it.
Yeah, no, I can't not get it. My family's from Trinidad and Tobago.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a Trini accent if I ever heard one.
Yes.
Welcome, I'm so pleased to see you here. Hi, Asia, it's so good to see you. Long time since I've seen you. Hey, we're talking at the end of the month, aren't we?
Yes. Hi, Candy. It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, yeah, and you're in a different spot. You've turned your camera around. Nice. Okay, so let's dive in. Today is another one of these days where I don't have a huge agenda. But I think I will talk about this. I was mentioning this to Loie just as everybody was signing on, that I had a really unusual experience. But actually, it wasn't unusual. It's just that I decided to really notice it. So this past weekend, I went shopping for some clothes. And the area that I live is a nice area, you know, well-to-do, educated, you know, people are quite privileged. And I went shopping and I was in a store and this woman said to me, you know, because I'm very short, I need petite stuff. And she said, you should go to the sister store, our sister store, because I have just finished unpacking a whole bunch of stuff. I know there's stuff that's going to fit you, you know, like probably there's stuff here, but really you should go to our sister store. So I'm like, cool. Now I know the sister store. I shop there frequently. So off I go and I go into the sister store and I'm the only customer in the store. And I'm looking at stuff and I find a couple of pairs of black pants. So I go and I have to find the salesperson and I, you know, looking for something like this. Do you have this in my size? No, it's flat out no. So I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. Because this is one of those stores where they always want to check online or we could order it and have it sent to your home and then you could try it and all that stuff. So I continue my way around the store and I find this rack of really like nice navy suits that are just sort of the right kind of proportion and all that stuff, and a nice wool suit. And I could use something like that. So I'm looking and I see they're freshly unwrapped. They've been steamed. Everything looks good. So off I go to find her again. This navy suits. Do you have that in my size? What, you know, like I'm interested in them. No, we don't have your size. So I look at her, I go back to the rack and I look through 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And I went, I mean, I'm smiling now, but at the time I went, ew, like I just felt so uncomfortable. And then I left. And eventually I made it back to the original store where the woman who said you should go to that petite store. And she very friendly, so how'd it go? And I said, actually it didn't. She was not interested in helping me. And she looked at me and her poor face, she was like, right? And she didn't know what to say. And so I wrote about that on social. But the reason that I wrote about it was not because I wanted people to go, oh, poor you. Like, you know, here we've got 4 women on this call, different countries, but as a person of color, this is the kind of stuff that we deal with every day. It's not uncommon. And so all the people that I know that are, you know, they live in the same neighborhood as me, they're educated, they, you know, they're successful, they have families and all these things. I wanted them to realize that my experience isn't the same as their experience. And that the only way that that's going to change is when they know, they realize that it even happens. Like they're clueless, right? And so I put this post up and I got, you know, a lot of people commenting, which I really appreciated, but I wasn't doing it for sympathy. I was doing it for awareness. And I'm hoping that now that they'll go, well, wait a minute. You mean that this isn't always like, this isn't the nice rainbow and daisies world. Like when you go shopping at stores, there are people who don't want to help you because of who you are, how you look, right? So I don't know if you have experienced anything similar, and I'd love to hear your experiences.
Well, Candy, first of all, thank you for sharing that experience. It was truly enlightening and unexpected for me because I gathered from something you mentioned that you live in Canada.
Yep.
And oftentimes the general idea or picture that is painted of Canada is that it's a very inclusive society. So I'm really surprised to hear you mention that. Although there's a YouTuber that I follow, Shameless Maya, who was born and raised in Canada, and she's mentioned something like sparingly oh, I don't think I want to go back to Canada because of what's happening. And she just left it at that. She didn't elaborate. But your experience kind of matches back to what she mentioned. That being said, I think in Trinidad and Tobago, where I'm at, we don't have I wouldn't say we don't have a racial problem, so to speak, save and except for when people vote along political lines because one party identifies with one particular of the majority race and another party the other, right? In people's minds, that's how they identify. But I think it has to do with more classism, which is another form of discrimination. And having worked within the energy sector, within multinational corporations, I myself have had to face that issue. Because people always, one, doubt you based on the fact that you're a woman in a male-dominated industry. And then, yes, they are operating within my home country, but they are multinational corporations. So oftentimes, the leaders in the organization don't look like me. And when I speak up, people tend to say, I had one manager said to me one time, woman, just do as I say. And I literally had to just like close the email and just, okay, I don't want to respond in anger, but just pause and really sit with it for a while before I responded. No, I didn't go back to that manager. I went to his boss, who was also my boss, the project manager, and had a conversation about it. And his response was, well, you know, he's mercurial. Excuse? Yeah. So it's something that we always have to be mindful, because I am always hyper aware of not being perceived or given credence to the saying of the angry Black woman, because you don't want to lash out in anger, even though sometimes your anger is justified. So it's trying to help them, as you say, bring awareness without attacking, but in a helpful manner, to help them see things from my perspective, from the perspective of other people that they would manage in the future.
Thanks for sharing, Florence. That's really, it's a good perspective. Anybody else? Loie, have you got thoughts?
Well, I'm an adopted Korean who grew up in 100% white environments most of my life. And I think the hardest thing is, and I could fill an hour and 2 hours of the stories of things that have happened to me similar to what happened to you. The hardest thing is when your friends who don't ever experience this say, well, maybe it was just a bad day for her, or maybe you're overreacting, or how do you know it was like that? And it's like, you know, but it's like a wound that hurts even worse in some ways when your friends, and I'll say it will be like a white friend, will go, that can't be, she's so nice, or that isn't true, or I don't like that, being denied my experience.
Yeah, thanks, Loie. That I get that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that before as well. And it really makes you think twice before you say anything, because why bother?
Mm-hmm.
It also makes you second guess, did I really experience that or not, right? And so, we're kind of in that, we're standing on Jell-O, right?
It's like
You know it wasn't quite right, but what exactly, but you can't exactly put your finger on it. So it's interesting. And it's, and it's evolving, right? But I still stand that the more that people are aware that these small little things happen on the regular, and even in the nice, polite society of Canada, I mean, I'm not saying that the other countries, where you guys live are not wonderful societies, but Canada sort of, our brand is that we're super nice and polite, right? And so it's interesting. Asia, do you have anything to add here too?
I grew up in a Black community. I didn't really have a lot of white friends growing up, except when I was in private school, so second grade. But for the most part of my life, I didn't have too many experiences. I did have a few, but not a lot. From when I went to college, I went to a predominantly white institution. And so some of my friends that went there would tell me about stories that they endured. I think I mostly endured colorism within my community, with those who are mixed being more favored than those who are just mostly Black, or even those who are dark skinned, on the more darker side. So with subtle things of teachers showing favoritism with mixed, particularly mixed girls, even boys who prefer the lighter skinned women over any other women, really. And as you can see, I am kind of on the lighter scale, but even for myself, I experienced it for the women who were, let's say, Black and white, or Black and Hispanic, or Black and Asian, or whatever the case may be. They got treated a lot better than any other women. So that was my experience. Or yeah, that was the majority of my experience. Wasn't necessarily racism, but more so colorism.
So interesting, right? And I fully recognize that I have my own biases as well. So even though I experience things like that, Lily, you weren't here for the original description, and I'm not going to rewind there. You could always look at the replay if you choose. And Frances, same. I know that you came on a little midway through the conversation, but even though I experienced that, I know as well that I have biases. I mean, I'm assuming most of us have taken the unconscious bias test and seen where we have our own leanings that are unexamined, right, and unconscious. And I think that that's the whole, sort of again, it comes back to this awareness. When we talk about it, that it happens. Like, I rarely talk about my experience of racism in Canada, rarely. But if I just speak up just a little, and then, and if I do my little bit, and, I hear Loie, I hear your side of it, I hear your experience, Florence, I hear your experience, Asia, I hear your experience. It reminds me that if everybody has the ability to share a little bit, not from a place of, I guess it doesn't even matter, from a place of judgment, doesn't really matter, but just from a place of honesty, like, this is my lived experience, this is what my life is like, and so I just, this wasn't actually the topic that I wanted to cover, but super interesting conversation. And I really appreciate your courage to speak up and tell me what your life has been like. And I can relate. Florence, I've been that, person of color, female, woman of color in a male dominated, lots of tall, white, blonde men, and I'm exceedingly short. So I've been in that scenario. Loie, I've experienced some of what you've experienced, Asia. For years, it was no big deal for my Black family to say, oh, you're so lucky you can pass. When I was younger, I was lighter. You can pass as white. And that was a compliment, right? So that colorism within our community is really, there's so much to unpack and so much to, sort of bring out into the fresh air. So anyway, thank you for your honesty. So let's talk a little bit about what I wanted to speak about today. So I've got this question that I've been working on for myself, and I thought that you would find it of value as well. So usually on these Monday calls, we have casual conversation. I may bring a bit of an exercise to do together, but I also like to use it as a time for you to start your week, to create some intention for your week. And so coaching is, I don't know, it's like my dream career. I love it. And I also know that there are so many people who are becoming coaches who what is the most helpful is a place where you can start your week and go, okay, I'm not all on my own trying to figure this out. I'm just going to walk in here to these Monday calls. At least I'll start my week with kind of that feeling like, okay, I caught my breath. I know what I'm going to do this week. So that's a lot of what I like to cover as well. So I've got one question that we're going to focus on, but we're not quite there yet. I want to hear from each of you. What are you celebrating? What went well last week? And now take a minute, write your answer for yourself on a piece of paper or in a journal. I'm going to set my timer, and then I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're celebrating. I'll give you a minute. Okay, come back to me. So I want to hear from everybody. Tell me what went well last week. What are you celebrating? Who wants to go first? And everybody gets to go.
You can go first.
Okay.
So what I'm celebrating is the fact that I've been getting a lot of exposure. I've been able to communicate with new potential clients, and just, get to know them, get to know their needs. They get to know about my company and my brand, see how I can better service them. But then also I've been able to recalibrate and rest. I feel like I have been working and trying new things, and got to the point where I was feeling a little overwhelmed. So I was able to pause and recalibrate, do some self-care, journal, and figure out what my next steps are.
You. Yeah. How do you feel sort of having written that down and reflected on what you're celebrating?
I realized that I didn't realize that, or like it was something that I knew but didn't take a moment to celebrate it. So, that's good that you asked, what am I celebrating? I think I've been spending so much time thinking about what should I do next? What can I do next? What am I doing wrong? And not what have you done? And I know we've talked about that in our sessions before, but I guess I just didn't think about it again. I guess I forgot. And so it feels good to take a moment to think about you are doing something well.
Yeah. And welcome to having a human brain, right? Our brain forgets. Our brain doesn't want to remember the good stuff. It loves to look for problems to solve. So good for you. Who wants to go next? Lily. It's Lily, right? Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Good.
Yeah.
All right. What are you celebrating?
So what I'm celebrating is to acknowledge that I can be sad. I know it's kind of weird, but I wouldn't let myself be sad for so many years. And just knowing that I can be sad without being ashamed, because it's always feel like a shame for me. So I am celebrating that I pointed that out and other things.
Oh. That's it shows me the growth in you honoring yourself and honoring your experience, and that your experience matters and that it's important.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Yeah. It can be scary to experience emotions, and it takes courage to do so. Very good.
That's it.
Thank you for sharing. Who's going next? Okay.
I'll go.
Florence, Loie, when you go, okay, Loie.
It seemed an obvious one was my daughter's birthday, but actually that was kind of an easy one. I think I'm celebrating. I had 3 doctor's appointments this last week, and I'm doing a lot of proactive medical care, which I had a conversation with a friend who can't even pick up a phone and make an appointment. So I'm feeling that sense of accomplishment of, oh gosh, I got these appointments and it's all, I'm taking care of myself.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, and it's almost like Lily, it's honoring yourself. You
Mhm.
know, honoring who you are and that you take the time to care for yourself. Good for you. Yeah, well done. All right, Florence, you're next.
So I am honoring myself as a mentor. I'm accepting that I can mentor other people. For a long time, I know well, I should say the pandemic threw my self-confidence into the gutter and it crushed it up. So last week I was able to help a colleague successfully host a speech contest. I'm a Toastmaster. So everything that could have possibly went wrong, Murphy was just having a ball. He had a party on us. And it was an online speech contest. So there are lots of moving parts because people are not all in the same room. But we were able to surmount all the challenges. And we got like a record number of people to watch the speech contest. So I was really proud in being able to help this blind colleague, successfully host the speech contest.
That is so great. Congratulations. And especially when things were going wrong, and just to keep going and doing it. Good for you. Oh, excellent. So you know why we do celebration, right? I know you probably know, but I'm going to tell you again, just because we can never learn it too much, is we're creating new neural pathways in our brain. Our brain loves problems. Our brain is always looking for problems because it wants to keep us safe. And so we don't create this habit of celebrating our accomplishments and the things that we do. And we need to spend a lot of energy and a lot of time focused on celebrating to do that rewiring. And so that's why it's just like, it helps you feel better. Well, who doesn't want to feel better? Right? And so it's just that switching over from automatic problem solving brain, automatic things are going terrible brain, to learning how to use our brain in a way that helps us feel better, helps us grow as humans, helps us improve the quality of our life. So that's why we do it. And plus it's fun. And it's like uncomfortably fun too. Like, okay. So let me set this one question for you. So this is at any stage of a coaching business. And that's why I've been kind of working through this question. I've written pages and pages in my journal so far about it. Is when you're a new coach, you're thinking, will they sign up with me as a client? How will I find them? What if they don't like me? Like, we're always focused on that thing somehow is not working. Like somehow we're missing something. Somehow it's not working the way we want it to. And we're always, again, looking for that problem solving. So stick with me for a minute. I want to read this question to you. I found it a little confusing at first, but I want you to stick with me. So who would you be if somebody not signing up wasn't even a consideration? So let me repeat that. Who would you be? So that would be, what would you do? What would you think? What would you feel if someone not signing up with you as a client wasn't even a consideration? And if you can't even imagine that, just play with it and imagine it just for now, just for a minute. You guys understand the question? I know it's kind of a double negative, but it's a powerful one. Right? You understand the question well enough, Asia?
Repeat it one more time.
Yes. Who would you be if someone not signing up with you wasn't even a consideration? What would you think? How would you feel? What would you be doing if it wasn't even a consideration? All right, I'm going to set my timer for a couple of minutes, and I would love you guys to write and write and write about, imagine that that was your experience right now in building your coaching practice. And imagine that, of course, people are signing up. It's not even a consideration that they might not. How would you show up? I'm going to put myself on mute, set my timer for 2 minutes, and I'll talk to you in 2 minutes. Fifteen more seconds. So the question again, who would you be? What would you do? How would you feel? How would you think if someone not signing up with you wasn't even a consideration? I'm just going to share a few things. I've been journaling on this now for 3 days, and I'll just share some of bits and pieces just so that maybe you hear something from me that twigs your imagination and gives you another idea. So these are some of the things that I would think. Well, of course they're going to sign up. Like, of course, like it's going to happen. And I created this exactly for them. Why wouldn't they sign up? It's custom made just for them. As long as they can find me, they will say yes. So it's up to me to be findable. I need to show up. And then down another path, it sounds like this. I need to make sure that they're a match for me. I wouldn't just take anybody to work with, because if everybody's going to say yes, if everybody that could benefit is going to say yes, I'm a limited commodity. So I need to make sure they're a match. And if they're not a match, I can refer them to somebody who might be a better match. And if they said no, I'd be like, oh, well, whatever, your loss, like no big deal. I wouldn't get all attached about it, right? And then this, I have the missing piece to help them. I am the missing piece to help them reach their success. Some of the emotions that I would feel would be completely unattached as to whether they say yes or not. I would feel compelled to invite people, compelled to get out there and tell people about what I'm doing, because I know that I can help them. And of course, they're going to sign up. And I realized for me, of some of the places where I hold myself back, not doing it if my hair is gray and it needs to be dyed, not doing it if my nails are mucky, waiting to put on a little bit of makeup before I go on video. So those places where I hold myself back to somehow polish my image, perfect my image. But if that's not even a consideration and what I can offer can help them, well, heck. So I have gray hair. Big deal, right? It doesn't matter anymore. I get to be me, right? So that's some of the things that I discovered. I also realized that I would stop looking at what everybody else does. I would know that I had that solution for my people, and I would just get to work and make the best I could make it, and then use their feedback to improve it, not going always outside looking for somebody else's thoughts. So just sharing with you some of my thoughts, and I want to hear from you. Who wants to go first? Lily, I'm calling on you. You've got that look like this one was a challenge.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for me.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys understand my English first. But I feel like the first thing that came is that I can do more better contents to respond to those specific clients that are mine. That's the first thing that came. The other thing is like I feel like I am part of a puzzle. And that make me feel like if I'm part of a puzzle, I can be whole and my client can be whole too. This is the only thing that just pop up in my head. I don't feel anything else for now. Probably I know for sure that this question, I'm gonna have something that's coming in my head.
Take the question away and do it again and again. What else?
Yeah.
What else? Now that you've started talking, has something else occurred to you?
That I am at the right place. That it was really hard even to connect with you this morning. And I just say that I have to take a step, just show myself.
And you did it.
And I did.
Good for you. Awesome. Thank you, Lily. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So for me, I saw myself showing up confident, like I'm getting on that call with that potential client and I have a big smile on my face, you know, my chest is open, my shoulders are square. I just, my head is held high and just, I have a confidence that no matter what happens on that call, I will find a way to help that client get clarity on something, be able to help them move one step closer to whatever their goal would be. Meanwhile, I know I have to personally manage the thoughts in my head because I have a tendency to overthink and that perfectionism. So it will be, okay, Florence, stop trying to battle the perfectionist on one shoulder and just, you don't have to, sorry, you don't have to have all the answers.
You're fine. We're not in a rush.
Yeah. But just focusing on asking the right questions. That's all I need to do. Just focus on asking the right questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I hear with that is as well, and tell me, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's only the next question. You don't need to worry about all the questions. It's just the next one, right? What's the next one? What's the next one? Yeah.
Yeah, because the last part of that line was just holding space for them to dig deep. Because sometimes I remember a coach telling me once, sometimes the silence is absolutely necessary. It allows them to think, and it gives space for whatever was last said to just resonate, So just being comfortable, getting more comfortable, sitting in the silence and leaving that space for them to get clarity, move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So take that question away and keep reflecting on it. Who would you be? What would you think? What would you do? How would you feel if somebody not signing up wasn't even a consideration? Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
Asia?
I'm still not sure if I understood the question, but I just talked about that if those who aren't signing up aren't a consideration, then I wouldn't worry as much. I'd be able to focus on more on those who are a consideration. And I would probably feel more calm about things because I know that I'm weeding out those who would be a better fit for my program versus those who are not. I could, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you certainly got the gist of it. I'm wondering if there's a way that I can be even clearer in the wording. So it might sound something more like this. If all of exactly the right clients were available and they all said yes, and they all signed up like right now, and that you would not even get on a consult and consider that they might say no, or consider that you were being too pushy, or consider that you were showing up on social media too often, how would you be different? So there's this place of sufficiency and certainty. Yeah. So does that make the question clearer for you to take away and continue to kind of work through?
Yes.
Good.
But I still think my answer would be slightly different, because if that was the case, I don't think I would put in as much work as I should. I think it would be like the end of the spectrum of I don't have any worry. Not that I don't have any worries, but I have very little worries, and so now I'm really, really calm, and I might mess up because I'm so calm, and I'm not holding myself accountable of, make sure this is done and this is done, and still weeding through people, making sure that everyone is right for whatever program or for my program.
It does.
I
And
think
thank you for shining a light on that.
Yeah.
It's it sounds like if it was easy, then I wouldn't work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't work as hard. I think I would definitely still work for it, but I wouldn't work as hard.
Yeah. But what if some of the hard work is because you're scared that it's not going to happen?
And I think that's my brain feeling like anything that there has to be hard work. So if there's not hard work, then I'm not doing something right.
Yeah. And listen, I know you from before and for a number of months. And what I know is that you have an incredible heart for service. I can't imagine a world in which you wouldn't show up and say, hey, I could help you.
Yeah.
Like, does that even exist? Like, really, think about that for a minute. I've seen some of the things that you do. So does that even exist, that you might not still serve?
No.
Yeah, right? Just saying, just saying. And I think it's really interesting because what you've described is not uncommon in our experience. We think we have to work hard, that somehow we have to make ourselves work hard, or it's either not going to happen. And then there's another little story that sometimes creeps in that says, and if I don't work hard, if I don't have to work hard, it's too easy and it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would suggest that those are common stories that we tend to believe, but we don't have to keep those stories if they don't actually serve us. It's rewriting the way that we think life has to be. Like for the people in the Caribbean, I remember hearing how hard 12-year-old students would study for is it their O level or their A level? Just to get that placement in a good school. Is it O level?
It was common entrance, and in Trinidad now it's SEA, secondary entrance exam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are kids, like 12-year-old kids that are studying and working with tutors to hopefully get that good positioning, because that was really going to be the key to success, right? And so, there's where we proved it, that you had to work hard to make it happen. Whether that served us or not, I don't know. I'm a hard worker too, so guess what? I'm still unraveling all this too. Chloe, what have you got? What have you thought about here?
Well, I kind of had a similar question, I think, with Asia. I was asking, is the issue not caring about my rejection, or is it a hall pass to trust that you will have clients? And I felt that those different sides of the same coin. And I guess in either way, I would probably be more audacious, bold, experimental, assured, and playful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like the word audacious. Yeah. Showing up just a little bit.
I think we use a lot of caution because we're like, is this the way we want to present ourselves? Is this right? I get one shot to make a first impression. I don't want to make it bad. So if you were like, hey, it's going to happen, you don't
It's
have
going to
that.
happen. You go and so maybe that's the way that the question might serve you better, is it's going to happen. You do the work, however you define the work. And those people are coming for sure. Maybe that would help. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, you guys, that's it for today. Was this useful? Did you learn something? Did you find that the time was well spent?
I like this group.
Yeah. Right. It's these things, nothing happens by accident. Yeah. And I love that it's international, because we've got Canadian, we have American, we have Guadalupe, and Trinidad and Tobago. I love that international flavor. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for showing up. You'll see the email coming through with the replay. You can go back and listen to the replay anytime you want. And I just want you to know that these Monday times are my gift to you. I do have a one-on-one practice. I'll be launching a group cohort in the next couple of months. If you have any questions about working with me, send me a DM or send me an email, and happy to get on the phone and chat with you and find out if there's a match there as well. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Candy. See you later.
See ya.